Dirt roads to rock crawling, two-buck chuck to screaming eagle, moonshine to 50-year-old single malt. We talk about it all here on Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey with your hosts, Jason and Chris.
Welcome to the Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey Podcast, episode 302. In studio, JM. We're going to call this JM. This is a unique studio. It's not the Lance Life. It's way better than the Lance Life. Cheers, boys. So we got quite the crowd here. Cheers. So that we know we got 4 mics going. We got, 8 people in here or something, 10 people.
Sounds right.
Yeah, so that's Nick Bailey.
Howdy, guys.
From Avalanche Technical, no stranger to the podcast.
Yeah, happy to be back.
Crew chief for Bomber Fab. Randy and Amber out there at KOH.
Oh yeah, we like to go fast.
Yeah, that was a good race.
Yeah, it was. We just had another good one actually at Yarrington, but I had to miss because I was here in Studio JM.
Yeah, and Randy won apparently.
Yeah, overall, so not a bad showing at all for the Bombers.
That's a good start. Another good one. All right, sitting next to you is Scott from RubiTracks. Welcome, Scott.
How you doing?
Good, man. He's Canadian if you haven't figured it out yet.
He's very sorry about it.
But we're, so Scott's here. This is the reason why we're here, because Scott, this is the second annual RubiTracks Invitational. Is that what you're calling it?
Absolutely, yeah. That's Nick's nicknamed it the RubiTracks Invitational by accident, but
seems to stick.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's pretty cool. And then sitting next to you is Brian, who has a RubiTracks sweatshirt on. Very nice sweatshirt.
Big deal.
Yeah. So what's your story?
I am just part of the lodge operation where
right.
we're all hanging out and having a good time.
Yes,
living that off-grid life.
It is. It's off-grid, but you would never know that you're off-grid here. So we'll just dive right into this thing. So, Nick, why don't you start of how this got going last year and the impetus of this event?
Yeah, sure thing. So I got synced up with Scott here a few years back. I think this is my 4th season on RubiTracks. So I was looking for a solution like this and reached out to Scott. We kind of hit it off, had a really good conversation. He put together a set of tracks for me that, based on our conditions and the snow wheeling type stuff we do out here, that we thought would be a good tool for the job. And sure enough, it was. So had a couple little custom features, and he shipped them out. Came from the Million Acre Farm, PEI, northeast, above Maine, let's put it that way.
Okay.
All the way across the continent here to sunny Sierra Nevada. And the tracks were fantastic. We started running them, and we've kind of built a community in the area. So we've got all sorts of RubiTracks owners now in the Sierra Nevada region, California, Northern Nevada, as well as a few other Pacific states. And then this year we were joined by quite a few folks from the Rocky Mountain region and Intermountain West. So it's been fantastic to help kind of grow this community. So we put this event together to allow folks to come out, share experiences, and track conversions are a pretty unique thing, at least on at a scale like a Jeep or your typical wheeler.
Right.
So having a product out there and having a really cool, supportive community of folks to share experiences with has been great. So that was kind of the idea behind the Invitational.
Yeah. Yeah, so wide variety of rigs.
Absolutely.
And people came from far and wide.
Yeah.
Super cool this year.
We cast a big net this year. For
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Scott, talk about how RubiTracks got started and how you met up with Nick here and grew all this together.
Well, RubiTracks got started. I don't know how far back I want to go, but I had a business in Alberta hauling crude oil, and I needed something to do when I wasn't busy doing what I needed to be doing. So I built myself a set of tracks for my Jeep and advertised them for sale, and they sold, and I got more phone calls after they sold. So I built another set, and another set, and another set. And at that time, we'd called them polar tracks.
What?
Polar tracks.
Oh, polar tracks. Okay.
Yeah, I needed a name that, signified the cold, right?
Yeah.
So polar, right? So there's a long story behind that.
I kind of want to know how you switched over to Ruby.
To RubiTracks? Well, it involves a divorce.
Nice question, Brian. Let me ask the questions, okay? No.
It involves a divorce and a relocation of about 3,000 miles. It was a major life event for me, actually. But to sum it up, I guess I moved back to the East Coast where I grew up, and I started. I shouldn't say I started another business. I've been running the same company since 2003, I think. So we're in our 22nd year.
Okay.
So anyway, I tried doing a couple different things back where I grew up, and they didn't stick. So I wanted something to do that I would enjoy. So I built another set of tracks. I decided to go again, and we needed a name again. And I was building tracks for Jeeps, and everybody that owns a Jeep knows what a Rubicon is. So if I took the first half of that name and added tracks to it, it was a RubiTracks. And just so happens that the closest guy to the Rubicon that has ever bought tracks from me is sitting right beside me right here.
Yeah, full circle.
Full circle,
That's pretty cool. That's cool.
So
So talk about these RubiTracks a little bit. So there's a couple different sizes. There's a couple different types. It's evolved over the years, but let's take a deep dive in what actually you got going on.
Yeah, so RubiTracks, they're a snowmobile-based system, and the principle behind that, or the reason behind that, is fundamentally affordability and ease of part sourcing. So anyone who's familiar with tracks and all the other brands of tracks knows that tracks are hugely expensive, and not only in acquisition, they're also very expensive to maintain because the parts are not readily available.
Gotcha.
They're manufacturer or system specific, right? So what we did, and we're not the only ones to do this, we're not the first ones to do this, but we developed a system based on readily available snowmobile components, right? Snowmobile components that are designed to work in snow by companies that spent millions of dollars
To figure that out.
Right?
Yeah.
So that we save on that research and development and basically pass that on to the customer. So we developed a system similar to what was already on the market, the 121-inch and the 136-inch, which a couple of our competitors also offer. And then it's grown from there to what we have now is the mountain system and what you're going to see, floating around here this weekend.
Yeah. We did some incredible stuff, and we'll get into that
Absolutely.
shortly here.
Yeah, and the last piece of the product line is the RubiTracks HD. So that's like a 3/4, 1-ton type track system, 8 lug typically, and it's got more of an industrial belt on it. So also has a different, the bogey system's a little bit different. So they are more capable as like an all-season track. Because they don't rely on having some snow to lubricate a high-fax like the RubiTracks snow. So the lake, the cross country, and the mountain track are all primarily intended to be snow tracks and only used in the snow.
Gotcha. Yeah. We've been tooling around this area for a few days. It's our backyard, luckily.
Heck
I
yeah.
love this area. For our listeners, it's near Meadow Lake. It's out... Jackson Reservoir is up the road, Weber Lake. So we're up here about, as the crow flies, 15 miles from Truckee or something?
Yeah, I'd say
somewhere
that's right.
roughly. Deep in the Sierras. We've got anywhere from 8 to 18 feet of snow on the ground, would you say? Well, maybe not 18 right now, but a great spring came through for us, at least 12 feet in some of the deepest spots.
I think when you get up to Lacey, it might be 18 feet.
Yeah. There's some drifts that are definitely probably 18 feet up there. So, Brian, you're familiar with this area. You guys sled all over this countryside.
We do.
And it's some pretty extreme terrain and variable, right?
Yeah, it changes really quickly. The weather changes throughout the entire day, which makes you riding different.
Right.
So it's actually really fun to see all these cars out here because we kind of we don't even take it out to these points.
Right.
We're just going down the main road, and we still put a lot of work in.
Yeah, so you got a Suburban on tracks.
Right, yeah. So the lodge here has a cross-country set of tracks. They've been running them. This might be their third season.
Third
come to
year?
think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had mine, and the owner of the lodge here, Eric, is we were connected online, Instagram and all that sort of stuff. So he had seen my 4Runner and sent me a message one day on Instagram and was asking, he's like, hey, I've got this place out here. We always like to bring friends, and it's not always conducive to slap everybody that wants to come here on a snowmobile.
Right.
So what could I do to create a comfortable machine that would bring friends and, folks from all different walks of life? They've got an awesome group of snowmobilers that frequent this area, between Eric, his brother, Brian here, and their friends. But that's not the thing for everybody. And if you're coming out in the middle of a storm, it isn't necessarily the best way to travel. So we put together a Suburban on RubiTracks, and they've been heavily testing that thing, I would say, for the last 3 seasons. And so that's how our relationship started, what brought the Invitational to this property.
Right.
We're definitely part of the D&D team. We put some
hard miles on.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Whole lot of whiskey throttle.
I would like to say we are definitely the fastest driving Ruby-Tracks people in this area.
I don't think there's any debate. Scott and I talk about it every once in a while. We get photographs of speedometers, and it's funny. We heard today that like Mat Tracks, when you buy a set of Mat Tracks, they tell you that they're designed to go 25 miles an hour
Max.
only.
Really?
Yeah, and we've got documented cases of RubiTracks up here pushing 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to say we have gone much faster than 50, just for the record.
The owner is here.
Yeah.
The guy who controls your warranty.
Eric doesn't listen to the podcast, does he? And that's how heavy is that thing? 5,500 pounds or
It's
something?
got to be all of
6?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got gear loaded in there and people, and you're getting some bees there.
Everyone, just like what the number we put on our driver's license is, I think everyone likes to kind of play down weight, especially if you're a wheeling guy, if you're an off-road racer, whatever. I think I'm the only rig here that's actually been on a scale. And even my second-gen 4Runner with mountain tracks is at 5,000 pounds.
Really?
So I bet if you put that Suburban on a scale, it would be all of 7,000.
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
And what do the tracks weigh on average, one track?
On average, 200 pounds.
Okay.
Plus or minus, depending on the model.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So when you put that in comparison, a lot of the rigs out here are like kind of your, I would say, average off-road, multi-purpose off-road rig trucks, right? Running 35, maybe 37-inch tires in the summertime. So you take a tire and wheel setup like that off of one of those trucks, and you're probably anywhere from 100 to 130 pounds per corner.
Sure. Yeah.
So your net increase with tracks is really not terrible. You're talking somewhere 70 to 80 pounds.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're running bigger tires as well. Rode with you the last few days in a Toyota. I'm pretty sure I'm coming down with something. I'm not sure yet, but
is it skills?
But no, it's fun. You and I have known each other for a while, but man, and you got all the torques. You've got 2 transfer cases, your Marlin transfer cases, and you've got how many miles would you estimate or hours driving RubiTracks?
So I'd say, so 4th season. My use case is different, right? We talked about the lodge earlier and the fact that they use this thing as a shuttle to get folks and supplies in and out. So I live South Shore Tahoe on the Nevada side, and my rig stays tracked up all winter. But depending on the year and on calls, I use my vehicle to serve customers, industrial clients, off-grid homeowners, and in industry, mining, construction. That vehicle transports me to do all sorts of jobs, from power, like power systems. We've done some mining work.
Sure.
Security work. So with Starlink, I've done Starlink installs all through the mountains up here. It allows me to get to places that with gear that would be tricky to do another way. And I got RubiTracks kind of right at the onset of COVID. I was fully prepared to buy a snowcat for my company. And I started looking around at what you could get. And of course, all recreational vehicles prices were through the roof during COVID, right? Like I sold a dirt bike that I had owned for 5 years for $1,500 more than I bought it for during COVID. You couldn't buy an e-bike. You couldn't buy a boat, right?
Yep.
Folks were trying to find a way to get outside and have fun with their families because we were told that was the only way you could, that's all you could do. And so prices went through the roof. I had a budget, and looking at snowcats that were in that budget range, they were just trash, just carbureted. I mean, you could throw a Toyota joke out there, but some of these 60-year-old snowcats with carburetors and no heaters, it was just,
right.
I'm going to add this whole nother machine that I have to take care of and maintain and store all summer long. It just didn't make sense. And we're fortunate here in the Sierra Nevada that we've got relatively heavy snow. So situations are pretty ideal for a track conversion like this, where you don't have quite the light footprint of a snowcat,
right?
But you're damn close.
Yeah.
And technically, at least as the rules are written now in the western states, you throw a set of tracks on your Jeep or your Toyota, and you're an over-snow vehicle.
You're a track.
So you get
vehicle.
to access terrain.
That's snowmobiles.
Yeah, this is an OHV area where we are now. You can ride dirt bikes and Jeeps all through here, right? Ford ice and everything. But there's lots of places in California that you can the only way to access with an engine is if you're an OSV.
Right.
Because you don't touch the ground, you get some freedoms that other
over the
off-road
snow. Yeah,
vehicles
you can't be a tired
don't get.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Not tired like a
Hope
Toyota
Valley.
tired, but
Yeah.
tires, rubber tires on
Round
snow,
tires, not triangles. Yeah. So you get down there like to Hope Valley and out towards Wet Meadows, and that's a good example of a zone that the
Right.
only way you can recreate with an engine is an OSV.
Yeah.
And RubiTracks allow you to get there.
Yeah. So back to my original question. How many miles and hours do you think you got on there? He's drinking whiskey, by the way, so here, we got to keep him on track.
There you go. Yeah, so I would say over 4 seasons, I'm probably coming up on 2,000 miles.
Yeah. So, with that, it was fun watching you work your rig, and we did some pretty extreme off-camber, steep, some stuff that I have a snowmobile. I ride a snowmobile. I'm not the greatest rider out there, but some shit that I'd be like, okay, they get my attention on a snowmobile, much less
for sure
4 tracks that I'm trying to keep going. But it sucks the power down. I mean, you got a lot of, you're putting a lot of, and it's like you said, with the heavy snow that we have out here, the wet snow, you get really good traction. Packs down, but it's hard moving that stuff. But with all your torques, you were able to motor through pretty easily.
Yeah, right. I mean, part of the track, one of the keys to the track system is increasing your surface area, which decreases your ground pressure. And so, you've got a whole lot of contact patch. So your steering system better be up to the task. And having a lot of gearing options is a good thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And your what's your low in that thing? What's your reduction? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, pretty typical for a raisined up Toyota. We're running the Marlin Dual
2,000 to 1.
Yeah, Marlin Dual Ultimate setup. So we've got the 5-speed trans, probably somewhere 4.5 to 1 in first gear, the stock reduction box at 2.28, and then the 4.7 low range. So we can multiply all that together and get a crawl ratio probably in the 200 to 1 realm.
And then you also get a reduction with the RubiTracks, correct?
That's right. Yeah, that's a good point. Brings us back here on topic. But
see how I did that? I'm a professional.
There you are. So, you bolt on a RubiTracks system and you get 3 main benefits, right? Gearing reduction. So the sprocket size, that round sprocket at the top of the triangle tire. Effectively, that's your tire size as far as gearing is concerned. Because
And what size is that sprocket? It's big.
Yeah, so the Lake Series and the X Country or Cross Country Series use a 17.5, Scott?
Yeah, 17.6 inches in diameter, and the sprocket now on the mountains is right around 20 and change.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's effectively, like, let's just imagine that Nick was running a 40-inch tire. When he puts the mountains on, he's going to get like a 50% reduction again.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very similar. Portals are becoming a bigger thing in the off-road world. And so 2 of our 3 benefits are similar to what you'd accomplish with the portal. You get a gearing reduction and you get an axle offset, right? So you're increasing ground clearance, you're lowering your overall gear ratio, and then, of course, increasing your surface area. So you put those 3 things together on some of these modern four-wheel drive vehicles, a Jeep Rubicon, and you can make a damn impressive over-snow vehicle out of it.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. And so one of the driving techniques that I witnessed was slower is better when you're in a steeper terrain because you're packing the snow as you're moving forward instead of trying to just Randy Slauson that mother scratcher up the hill.
Right. Yeah. Going fast is fun. And, Jason, you have a snowmobile background. A lot of the folks here have a snowmobile background or snow bikes.
Track speed.
Yeah. Track speed is king with snowmobiles, right? You've got a lot of horsepower and you need horsepower to go fast, right? That's kind of the key. In our case, we're nowhere near the power to weight ratio that other OSVs are. Something like a snow bike, something like a snowmobile. So we can't count on momentum and horsepower to get the job done with a 5,000-pound rig.
Right.
And so a lot of times what I find, especially in our snow out here, is that if you basically run and you spin that track as slow as you possibly can, it allows the track to kind of build, creep up on top of the snow. That initial compaction that happens at your surface layer is maintained. I can step on the throttle and the tracks will dig, just like a tire, just like a high-speed track. But if you're spinning them as slow as possible, a lot of times you'll work your way up on top and, keep floating, keep moving forward.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing to watch happen. And it happens so slowly that if you're in a bad spot, a tricky situation, you pull in somewhere you shouldn't be, you can kind of just get out and watch the thing work.
Well, there was times
like
I had to
autopilot.
look and focus at a tree to see if we were even moving because it was that damn slow. But we were creeping forward, just inching along. And, you get back up on top of the snow and get out of the steep terrain, then you could goose it a little bit. But
Totally.
So, Scott, how I gotta assume that Nick's helped you out learning about the capabilities. I mean, you obviously engineered these things and stuff, but how have they evolved in an event like this where you had, how many vehicles do we have? 12?
I think we were 12 at peak.
I think we had 12 here. Now
12
we're
different rigs.
Yep.
We'll go through those in a second. But what have you seen or how have they evolved? And
Well, so evolution, that's definitely the word for it. Like, so if you want to back up to what Nick said when he contacted me and we did some custom things for him, like what's happening here today was never meant to happen. So Nick called me at the beginning of COVID. Things weren't looking so great, and I had no intention. I shouldn't even say no intention. I had no idea that the conditions that we're wheeling in this weekend even existed, let alone that I would build a product for it, right?
Okay.
So, things were looking pretty sparse for the season. Nick called me up with some ideas, and I'd get those phone calls all the time with guys that have a great idea and just brush them off. But whatever it is about Nick, he was able to convince me to do some special things for him. So
Hey, we were 4,000 miles apart.
okay,
right,
good,
Jason?
good.
He just really likes Toyotas more than Jeeps, is what I'm hearing.
There you go.
But no, so anyway, so we had our 121 and 136, which is the exact same 2 sizes that our competitors have, and over time, and actually, so we've rebranded, right? We don't call it the 121 to 136 anymore. We call it the Lake and the Cross Country.
Yeah.
And the Mountain is the end of what you're calling the evolution, right? And that all started, believe it or not, with Dwayne Stevens right here at the lodge.
Okay.
Getting stuck trying to climb over the berm.
Oh, one of the berms here, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a video of that on our Instagram where he came down off the berm, and because there wasn't enough approach angle on that track, it just wanted to submarine and dive into the snow. So there's a video on there of Nick helping Dwayne get out with the action tracks and a bit of shoveling and whatnot. So I went home, scratched my head a bit, and we came up with this mountain system that almost every vehicle here this weekend has.
Cool.
So I guess I don't know if that's
absolutely.
Because we had that, so we alluded to it earlier, but we weren't very direct. So after talking with Scott, he built me a custom set of 136-inch tracks.
Yeah.
And they had a high nose. So effectively, that leading bogey wheel off the front of the track was up an extra, like a bogey height.
I'd say pretty close. Well, I'd say about half a bogey, probably another 4 inches over and above what our 121 and our 136 had.
Okay.
So this event last year, we came out, I had those tracks, and everyone else had the standard 136. We started going through our trail runs and doing stuff, including the driving over the berm. So I drove over the berm first and made it out. And Dwayne followed me over the berm, hit the bottom angle, right? That sharp corner at the bottom, and just went down.
Submarine.
And so he's like, Scott, what the hell? Like, how come Nick has these tracks and, and you're not selling other ones? And Scott said, because Nick asked for these tracks. So I had background. I'd been running track conversions for a long time, starting when I lived in Colorado. I'd bought Camzo tracks and put them on a Kawasaki Brute Force, and I've run them in the Snowy Range in Wyoming and all through the Rockies, the San Juan Mountains. I had a pretty good feel for what worked and what didn't, in addition to technical terrain and like surface changes, even dealing in deep snow or soft snow. You want to lead that track up. And the front track is going to make the trail for the rear.
Yeah.
So if you can work your front end and your engine and everything up on top of the snow and pack it down, you're going to keep moving farther. So Scott fielded those tough questions last year. We had talked about it ahead of time, and we're just like, how do you think this is going to go? And that was the culmination of just...
There you go.
Eventually it was going to come out, and Dwayne was the guy to say, what the hell, dude?
That's great.
So Scott went back to the drawing board, and the mountain was born.
There you go. And then you brought out some bracing, or what did you call that we were putting on tracks early on when everybody arrived?
Yeah. So the mountain track is brand new, as Scott said. It was on paper last spring, early summer, went into production last fall, 2024. And now here at this event, I think if there was maybe 10 mountain kits that were built approximately, is that right?
Yeah.
So 8 of them or something made it to this event. Mm-hmm. So
that's pretty cool.
Had the mountain tracks, which was cool.
Yeah.
Mike,
which was cool to see. Well, you know what? My first time on a podcast.
Doing a good job.
And Joe Rogan's still cooler than you.
Hey, absolutely, and way richer.
way richer. Yeah, so it's neat to kind of bring all that together. There's nothing else like the mountain track that's out on the market right now. Working with someone like RubiTracks, it's a small enough company to be able to respond quickly to challenges. Like we said, here we are 12 months later, and we're all sitting around laughing because we just drove through crazy shit for the last 3 days, and I think everyone had a great time. And at this point in our trip, our numbers had dwindled a little bit. Some folks had to get back on the road. But
right.
I think everyone here is still running a mountain track, and we've had some great results this weekend.
Absolutely, for sure. So let's talk about the rigs that were here this weekend. So of course your Toyota 4Runner.
Yes, sir.
With a fresh paint job.
Yeah.
The $20 paint job.
That's right. Yeah, I knew this event was coming, and it's, Raisin. Everyone listening to this podcast knows about old Raisin Toyotas.
Yeah.
So, it last time I painted it was 3 years ago, right after I went on a Rubicon run with Dimitri at Stellarbuilt. So, of course, everything Dimitri owns is bitchin' looking.
It is really nice.
And so we went to the Rubicon, and we snow-wheeled on RubiTracks together, and he has a media guy that put together an awesome video. And there's my Raisin Toyota, just like 4 colors, and and I'm seeing it in HD on the big screen. And I'm like, oh shit. So shortly after that, I went home and painted the thing, and now that was 3 seasons ago. So as we were leading up to this event, I figured it was a good time to swing by Tractor Supply and grab a couple cans of tractor enamel. So, yeah, you're welcome, everyone.
Tractor
It looks
red.
good. It looks good.
Yeah.
RubiTracks red.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's like some of your
Oh, it is
dates,
Ruby
Brian.
Track
They look
colors.
good from far, but far from good.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, it's pretty standard. Second gen Toyota 3.4, dual cases, lockers. It's one of the most simple rigs here, but we've got some shiny stuff too.
Yeah. So
And it may be a good time. I mean, we've got some folks here on
we'll
deck.
tap into some of our other guests here. So let's talk. Dimitri made a guest appearance,
He did.
and his that's a V8 powered. And I wanted to hear more V8 noises, but he only stayed with us for the
Yeah,
first
he wasn't
day.
feeling well. He had the bookers, so
Yeah,
he managed to roll the track upside down and then
he did. That's right on the way in.
on the
huh?
way in. Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was feeling it.
he's not the only one. We'll talk about that later, but
Yep,
he
there
was
you-
the first.
There you go. Okay, let's talk about the guys from Saskatchewan. The farm. What's his IG handle?
Yeah, they have an Instagram channel, quite a popular Instagram channel called Farming Watch.
Farming Watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's got 8,000 acres he farms. I
Yeah.
was talking to him last night, and those guys like to party.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
They're a good time. So they had an older Chevy pickup. Mm-hmm. Short bed? Was it a short bed?
No, it was a four. Well, yeah, I guess it would be, but
Yeah,
it was a
it would
4-door
be.
short bed, right?
4-door. Yeah, crew cab short bed.
Yeah.
It was still like 6 feet. It was
Yeah.
what, half
Yeah.
ton?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
not the type of vehicle you'd expect to see 8,000 feet up in the mountains on top of 12 feet of snow.
No, absolutely not. But they did well.
Absolutely.
They did really well.
I also don't think they do a lot of hill climbs like back home.
Well,
Like
Saskatchewan's
that,
pretty flat. You know,
yeah,
they say that you can watch your dog run away for 3 days.
There it is.
You stand on a bucket, you can see the entire.
yeah. You go to the upstairs window. You see him walk away for 4 days.
Wow. Yeah. So I wish I could have hung out with them longer, but that was good. Tyler was his name.
Tyler Penyuk.
Yeah,
They were very cool.
they're very
And
cool.
they were fun to have out
And then what was the other guy's name?
Patrick.
Patrick.
Yeah.
And then the kid.
Jordan was
Jordan.
Patrick's
That's
son.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like Patrick kind of holds the things together there. He's the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, yeah. He was jumping in yesterday with wrenches and stuff, helping
Yep.
us out. Okay, who else that left that vehicle wise?
We had Kyle from British Columbia.
We did have Kyle.
High ground by nightfall.
High ground by nightfall is his.
Or as Dwayne would say, high ground by morning.
by morning. So I was calling that thing the Winnebago, but it is a house on wheels, man. That thing is insane.
Yeah, so there's another. So while the Suburban here at the lodge typically wouldn't be going out on these excursions with us. When you have a rig like Kyle's that was joining, I mean, that's showing the top end of the spectrum. That thing is.
I was scared to death when he showed up last year. I thought we were going to be pulling that thing out with an excavator or helicopter.
Wait till summer.
yeah.
We'll come get you in July.
He works remotely, so
Yeah.
he's got Starlink. He could just stay there.
Yeah, and he stayed in his. He's got a pop up tent.
Yeah,
on there.
cab, but little topper on that thing, and
It's
here
it's
at the lodge.
Overlander AF.
It
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, but he's a gamer, man. I got to give him credit because there's knowing what I know about this area and the terrain that we were in. There is no way I would have driven that thing up that. I mean, it's a house on wheels.
Yeah, he's a veteran. He was with us last year, like Scott said. And,
Yeah.
So he's been used to that. He wheels a lot. Documents it pretty well on Instagram for anyone that hasn't.
Oh, and
checked it
he
out.
drives his drone while he's driving.
Yes, and well.
And I'm nervous just flying a drone 4 feet away from me because I'm worried about taking somebody out or a tree or something. But he's doing it while he's driving. So good job, Kyle.
And the other neat thing in his situation, so he upgraded, right? Like a lot of folks, here with Mountain Tracks it's their first time
Right.
at this event. But in Kyle's case, he had the cross country track, the 136. He upgraded to the mountain, but he kept his prior set, and he's been kind of on his own accord, he's been doing like a share program with some of his buddies in BC. And for this event, he offered his spare set of tracks to another overland Jeep guy from
To
Washington.
Josh.
Yeah, his name is Josh.
Good segue. I was
Yep.
Yeah, so
Off-road go-kart on Instagram.
Off-road go-kart. Yeah, he was. Everybody was great. It's fun meeting all kinds of new people and stuff. And Josh's got a. What is it? That's
a JL.
JL.
Yeah.
So it was a Rubicon JL,
Four-door.
badass. But he had it set up for overlanding as well.
And it's going to be really cool to hear and see some of his stuff because different from us, like he didn't go out and buy a set of tracks and put them on the first time and take them out the first day and run. Kyle loaned his to him. They installed them here in the parking lot. He came straight in to this event.
And that was his first experience with tracks. Absolutely.
So everything he did this weekend, just total immersion.
Yep.
Straight into the fire. So it's going to be really cool to follow up with him and see how that went. But he held his own. He did great out there.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about, like we've talked about, the tracks and you run over the snow, you make a trail, and by the time a few rigs have passed through, you've kind of changed the whole dynamic of the situation that you're driving through. So it allows you, it even enables your buddy to get farther than he would if you're running RubiTracks because you're going to set a course in the snow.
Yeah, you're paving the way, literally.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
cool. And then we had Tom and the Mahindra.
Roxer.
Oh, good God.
That was a weapon, an absolute weapon.
How about that? So here we are talking about heavyweight rigs. Now we got a lightweight rig that really,
On
and it's got the
mountains.
diesel. Yep. So he's got the low end torque.
It's a turbo
he rolled
diesel.
coal
So
up the hill. It was pretty
once
cool.
it's lit, it's got some horsepower behind it too.
Yeah.
He's got some work done to it. He kind of alluded to some maybe
Tweaks.
not EPA supported modifications
Right.
to it, but it's seriously torquey for a small machine.
Yeah, and let's mention the weather because we're looking at the weather forecast. We watch the weather all the time, Nick, and there was no snow in the forecast or maybe a small shower.
Sure.
But it snowed the first couple of days on us, which was pretty freaking cool.
It did, yeah. So this is a 3-day event. Going into it, even a day or two before, it looked like we were going to have sunshine for 3 days. It's a good thing we didn't because we only had 1 day of sunshine, and you should see Scott's head.
Yeah, it looked like a tomato.
But
You got
we had-
some of that California sunshine today.
I tried to
absolutely.
warn him.
It's solar powered.
It's solar powered.
Solar powered.
You get up high, you're closer to the sun.
It's
and
my solar
the
panel for
Sierra
a sex
Sun
machine.
kicks.
Yeah, it does. Sierra Sun is relentless. But yeah. So Tom did a great job. He had a few mechanicals, unfortunately. He was fighting some power steering issue.
Yeah, steering all around, right? He had a broken tie rod and
Then the tie rod.
some other power steering stuff. But yeah, I mean that's a good example of one of the things that should be of top shape when you go to install a set of RubiTracks, right? You increase all that surface area on a steering axle, and it's going to demand the utmost performance from your steering system.
Having a RAM assist is
Huge.
very helpful.
I think with the mountain system, especially as customers, ask what modifications they need to do, I think steering assist is going to, I wouldn't say be critical, but be very strongly advised.
Yeah, strongly advised. That's well said. Yes, for sure. And then we had to leave his.
Spent one night on the mountain.
We spent one night on the mountains. So it was getting late yesterday afternoon. Sun's going down, and we know how cold it gets out here, even on a nice day in the winter. So we're like, okay, tie rod gone, but they unbolted it, brought it down the hill with us.
Sure.
Left
And
it up there.
Big shout out to TrackMan. Anyone that's been in this area, TrackMan and TrackSun, Mikey, Stephen Mikey. I sent him a message late last night from the top of Lacey on my Starlink and said, hey, man, we're in desperate need of a welder. And sure enough, Mikey spent some time professionally welding, and he said, yeah, I've got something here, so you need to use it. Show up 8 a.m. and it's all yours.
So you rolled out this morning with the tie rod and welded it back up, sleeved it a little bit.
Yep. And that rig is off the mountain and on its way home.
It got off the mountain. He played today. He drove it all day.
And he still drove it hard.
He drove it harder today than he did yesterday.
You're right. He did.
Yeah.
Guess I need to start making Mahindra tie rods.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Let's see. And then who else left?
Matt. How could
Oh,
you forget
Matt.
Matt.
God, Matt.
Good guy.
Oh,
Matt.
fantastic. Matt has been fantastic since the very beginning. Like when Nick and Matt and Dale went out, we discovered some issues with the system that you alluded to, the braces that we're putting on here today, right? And that all started with Matt. Like he went out there and he's got this built JK with a supercharged 3.8 in it and Curry Dana 70s front and rear. We built him a special system. You know, I don't build an 8-lug snow system, but I did for Matt.
Okay.
And, of course, Nick calls me and tells me that he drove it at the track 4 times. And I'm in the busiest time of my season. I'm trying to just keep up with orders. And here I go. All of a sudden, I discovered that there's a problem with the system that I didn't anticipate. But Matt was absolutely fantastic and worked with us through the whole process. And I don't think he come out of the track once this weekend.
That's right.
Nope.
Yeah. So super cool when, if you're going to have something new that you're bringing to market, what more could you ask for than just a customer who is willing to kind of accept that risk, right? If you're doing something that no one else has done, there may be some learning, some challenges, right?
Yeah.
And he's been all of that and more. Just fantastic working with us as we kind of put our heads together to figure out what his problem was and how we could address it. It led to the braces that we brought out here. So the Mountain Trek has that brace now as part of the system. And again, the Mountain was designed around a vehicle that, like a more advanced off-road vehicle, typically has hydraulic assist or more, typically has low gearing options. That's why the sprocket got bigger. Somewhat counterintuitive, but if you're putting them on like a high-performance off-road rig, likely you already have lower than standard gears. And by putting a bigger dry sprocket on, it allowed you a wider range of gearing options.
Yeah.
So the Mountain had that. He, similar to Eric and how Eric has helped us proof, some of these speed and durability.
That was never actually documented for the insurance purposes.
That's right. Well, I mean, so I built these things for ice fishing. Like when I first started this, 90% of my tracks went to Manitoba and Saskatchewan for guys that wanted to go out on the lake when the snow was too deep to get out on tires.
Okay.
So they weren't crawling over berms and going through tree wells and all these things, right? So we built a system that worked fantastic in those applications, right? And then I don't know what the right word is, but we expanded on that with Nick's system to be just a little bit more capable in this snow wheeling type of situation. Then we went like right over the top of the Mountain system, and of course there's some things that from the original system that just weren't quite up to the task that we discovered, unfortunately, mid-season.
Yeah. And Matt's a cool cat, man.
Yeah.
And so just a little background, his IG is Fly for Broke, the number 4. But he flies ag planes, and if you ever watched an ag plane spray a field or anything like that, they're freaking close to the
nutty
ground. Yeah.
Yeah, they're basically acrobats, right?
Yeah.
With a tank of pesticides.
Right. And then you got this hazardous material or whatever on board. But in watching him wheel, he gave no fucks. He was,
Zero fucks given.
he got into the tree well yesterday, and you and I are looking at this thing, and we're kind of excited because we like to do recovery stuff. And I'm like, holy hell, he is freaking augured in, man. That thing, that back passenger rear track was gone. It was gone, and had to do a little winching, but with a winch and your traction boards, your orange traction boards that I love so much. But I last winter I got to wheel with you and saw how effective they are in snow, mud, sand. But don't use them on the Rubicon. I've seen them used on the Rubicon. That's absolutely stupid.
Agreed.
But that was cool. Was able to just slowly crawl out with the assistance of the winch to just get out of that hole. And
and if anyone wants to know how steep or off-cambered that was, he was in that tree well enough to where he dumped all of his windshield washer fluid out of the tank. And it landed in the snow next to him.
Looked like a blue snow cone.
And it rolled right out. No track issues per se. I mean, obviously it was just severely off-cambered and in a giant hole. But little tug of the winch and a couple traction boards.
The best part of that was Matt got so high up on the ridge that he realized he had cell reception and he just started texting. And that's how he fell into the tree well. He was just like, oh, shit.
Texting and driving.
Tree well on top of a ridge.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, he was late for dinner last night, along with a few other people, because I guess he found another tree well on the way to the pizza parlor.
It wasn't a tree well, but it was definitely a deep hole with water at the bottom of it. Like, I thought we were going over.
You were riding with him.
Oh yeah, I was in the
that's
passenger
right.
seat, man.
I didn't
And
realize you were in the car.
yeah, no, we broke through like. So this is hard pack, right, where the groomer's been running all winter.
Yeah, so the main road.
Right, and he's using the shoulder of the road as guardrails, I guess. So he got a little bit too far left. I really don't know, because it all happened so quick, exactly why we got so far left, but we fell off the side of the road and we stopped. I'm not going to say instantly, but very close to instantly, and that thing was like, I was basically on top of him in the like 45, at least 45 degrees.
Wow.
At least.
Wow.
And it was quite a process to get that thing out. The rear track. So what happened, and it was amazing. The front track stayed perfect, but so we broke through, probably sank down a foot and a half, and then he came back up. So I'm like, I felt this thing go and like fall down and then come back up, and I'm like, oh yeah, great. And then all of a sudden we're back in again. And then we stop, right? Luckily, I don't know why. I believe I had my seatbelt on because my face didn't hit the windshield. But yeah, luckily, man, we got out of there. Everybody was fantastic in their effort to get it out. Cody helped, Dale helped, and like we never broke anything. Like we never even broke a bogey wheel. Just the quick links that hold the chains on, I think, was the only damage that came of that.
Wow.
So I mean, like, it was fantastic, and Matt was fantastic. I mean, you know, being the manufacturer of RubiTracks, you can imagine when a track ends up upside down, you hear about it. You know, you're going to hear about it.
Sure.
Right. And the unfortunate reality of it is that's going to happen.
Right.
So there's on the internet, if you search "fuck around and find out," there's a chart. Right? It goes to 12
Yeah,
for
okay.
fuck around.
Okay.
And it goes
Y-axis.
to 12 for find out.
Okay.
X-axis.
What's that?
Yeah,
The
the
X and Y.
Y-axis. Yep.
Yeah.
The X-axis.
And when you put tracks on, you're already at a 5.
You're fucking around.
You're fucking around. Right?
Yeah,
So
you're
we don't
taking
like
a
to
Jeep.
talk about this because obviously, you know, the average guy who wants to just get to his cabin doesn't want to find out that he could tear his quarter panel off.
Sure.
But he's not going to do it if he doesn't drive like Matt.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you're going to drive like Matt, and
I would never fuck around and find out on that.
yeah, you
For the record.
For the record.
I can say that the car will break before the tracks break.
Yeah. There you go.
But no, it was great. It was a fantastic experience, and I think we're gonna at some point we get these things with Curry Dana 70s and PSC steering and just Atlas transfer case and all that stuff. Well, if you get all that stuff in your rig, you're gonna have to expect that this also might happen because you're already that guy that pushes.
Sure, you're pushing the limits. Yeah,
absolutely, right?
I mean, we're in extreme country out here, extreme terrain.
Wow, absolutely.
Extreme conditions.
We're in the Rocky Mountains, right?
Well, it's not Rocky
Sierra
Mountains.
Nevada. So it's
Sierra Nevada.
Yeah.
But there's some extreme shit out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really cool.
We're in the crest. It gets gnarly here.
It does, yeah. And that was one thing I'm glad you chimed in, Brian, because this time of the year things get a little dicey because it gets warm and water starts flowing underneath the snow and creates snow bridges, and you don't know, it looks great, and then you drive over it or walk on it or anything, and you're up to your neck buried.
It's very deceiving.
Yeah. So conditions are quickly changing. Even with all the recent snow we've had 3 excellent weeks of powder and snow dropping. It's typical Sierras. It's feast or famine, and it just was a feast the last 3 weeks. But now the sun's coming back out, it's starting to warm up, and it's going to get a little spicy out there the next few weeks.
Well, I think today was a prime example because we came out in the morning on pure ice.
Yeah, it's bulletproof.
Yeah, you couldn't even break that if you wanted to.
Right.
And came back and just pure slush.
It's mashed potatoes in the afternoon. Yeah.
It changes within a couple hours. And
So it's nice to get the the variables, and then that plays in. We've talked about it before. Nick, doing recoveries and watching weather and snow conditions because it can change so quick during the day. And
We'll find it.
But it was cool to watch the RubiTracks work in all these different conditions over the last 3 days.
Yeah. So, and I've shared it with a couple of people that are out here this weekend, but it's kind of something I've been thinking about my whole snow wheeling life, and I finally got a pretty good handle on how I like to describe it. But we live in a 3D world, right? It's all three-dimensional. When you come snow wheeling, I like to think that it's 4D because you're dealing with the normal 3 dimensions. The surface of the snow is one, but then the surface of the ground is the fourth.
Yeah.
And everything between the two is sort of an unknown. And based on little cues on the surface, you can start to figure out what's underneath. And unless you've spent a lot of time on the snow, like we're fortunate here now to be joined by people that, like I said, recreate on snow in other ways. They've been reading terrain for a long time. But if you take someone that hasn't snow wheeled and you're driving it like you're rock crawling, everything is different.
Oh, yeah.
You're driving on snow here, the snow over there, it's a complete unknown. You see that little subtle dip and maybe there's water running underneath.
Yeah.
You got to look all around. Are you in a draw or are you on a ridge?
Right.
A ridge is a great place to be because water's not going to run on a ridge.
Yeah, you said that yesterday. That was cool. There was a steep hill right off of Meadow Lake Road there, and it was great because it was wide open and everybody could pick their poison at that point.
Sure.
But you made the comment like, "Hey, there's no water there because it's a mound. The water's going to go on either side of it."
Right.
Yeah.
So all those little things.
You start picking up on those things. Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I mean that's kind of a good segue. We were just joined by a Wyoming native,
Yeah.
snowmobiler, and RubiTracks mountain owner.
Cody, how you doing? Welcome to the podcast.
How's it going?
Is this your first podcast?
This is my first
Are you
podcast.
nervous? No, you got whiskey. You're
got
fine.
enough whiskey.
Oh,
Hey,
there we go.
So let's talk whiskey real quick with Cody because Cody brought a really nice bottle of whiskey.
Did.
No doubt.
Did.
What'd
Brought
you
some good stuff.
What'd you bring?
From Wyoming, you call it bourbon.
Oh, bourbon.
A little.
Now you know the difference between bourbon and whiskey.
One's
States?
better than the other.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. So what bottle did you bring that we're enjoying this fine
We had a
evening?
little E.H. Taylor that I can't find.
Small batch. Yeah, where did it go? It like walked away.
That's a good question.
We did a living room rearrangement here.
We'll
and
do a search and
it went
rescue
somewhere.
for
Okay,
it.
all
It's
right.
right here.
Oh, there he goes.
Stand by, guys.
Nick's got it. All right, that's good because I'm about ready for a topper. But no, man, welcome to the podcast. So you got a cool rig. Talk about your operation there. You came in with a cool setup.
I got a kind of a cool background. Yeah. Good. Thanks for having me on, Jason.
Hey, absolutely.
His Polaris.
Sorry you got to sit next to Brian, but that's okay.
Brian and I've got to be pretty good friends. It's gonna make for a good deal.
I got to pick on somebody during the podcast, so here you
Look,
go.
I'm sorry I had a snowmobile all day. Okay?
No, I know.
My car didn't make it out of the parking lot, so you can't drive a stock Suburban through the mountains as easy as you think. You know?
Right, exactly.
But it's pretty cool because my wife has the same Suburban, so we're gonna put some RubiTracks on.
Oh, hell yeah.
In Wyoming.
You should. We'll get them together. We'll do a Suburban
Yeah.
drive along.
We
It would
need
be
to.
fun.
There it is.
Yeah.
I think half these guys are gonna come out here and roll in Wyoming for a little while. So.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you know what? Last year I got to follow these guys with the Suburban, and it was a lot of fun. And it did way more than I thought a Suburban could ever do. So that was cool. That was
Heck yeah.
definitely really cool.
So is this your second year out here? First year?
First year out here.
Okay.
Second year on RubiTracks. I bought Nick's used set 121s and threw it on it last year.
Yeah, so
How'd
I had
you guys connect?
I had a mining client that I built a Chevy Trailblazer for, and because it was a relatively stock small SUV, we ran on 121s. We completed the project we were using it for. They asked me if I could sell them, and I can't remember if it was a Craigslist deal or Facebook Marketplace
I think I had started following you based on. I couldn't remember if it was Scott or you that I started with first.
Got it. Yeah, so an Instagram thing. So
Yeah.
usually if I've got something like that, I'll write an ad and then I'll like screenshot it and throw it in a story on Instagram. So Cody sent me a message and he said, "Hey man, I'd like to try this out. You'd had some UTVs on tracks, done some spring bear
We've
hunting."
done a lot of spring bear hunting with UTVs on tracks, and I just acquired a property in the mountains, so I was trying to get in and out of that.
Sure.
And Nick was like leery.
Really?
A little bit, I think.
Concerned?
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Because he didn't know who I was or what I was doing and
Gotcha.
Well,
where we were going.
Yeah, and everything we've described, like, the first half of this pod, talking about different tracks for different situations. I lived in northern Colorado for a while. I wheeled, not necessarily in the areas that Cody would wheel or lives, but close, in Wyoming, in the Snowies. Most of the guys that I knew up there that snow wheeled were out of Cheyenne, and they were like 500 horsepower, 50-inch tire folks.
Sure.
And he had a Gladiator, and I had the small set of tracks available, So I said, it might get your feet wet. It's probably just enough to leave you wanting more, and here we are, a year later.
Here we are, because they did. I got stuck a lot, but it was fun.
Yeah, it still got you out there where you wouldn't have been anyways, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so when Nick and Scott were working on the mountain set, pretty much as soon as they came out, I sent Nick a message and said, hey, I'll buy a set. And he said, I don't have one. So I called Scott and I was like, send a set my way.
Hell yeah.
There you go. That's cool. Yeah, and then you had a snowmobile in the back of the Gladiator, like
Rolling
a
with
quarter of it was in the back.
Rolling with a boosted Chaos in the back, and came to see what Sierra Cement was all about.
Yeah. What'd you think?
It's,
compared to where you're from?
Hero Snow.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
It's
time.
pretty cool though. It's interesting to be a part of. I understand now more. I questioned a little bit of the design on the mountain tracks because of some of the high nose, and not necessarily just and how they design that. And it makes way more sense now of how they did it versus how I would have designed
Gotcha.
it myself, which was kind of cool to see that perspective.
Yeah. So what did you think the trail that we did yesterday? That's the great thing about wintertime. There are no trails.
That's right.
We have specific areas we can ride and can't ride in California, but it's over the snow. You keep referring to OSV.
Yeah, an OHV
Vehicle.
map has lines. An OSV map has shading.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's zones you can go and zones you can't. But if you're in the zone, you go where you want to go.
But-
If you're
yeah.
not touching the ground, you're not causing resource damage.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
the cool thing.
It's
And
ultimate tread lightly.
for us that we
Good stewards of the trail.
four season, doing stuff. And in the summer, yeah, you're staying on the road, tread lightly, dust, all that stuff, and being conscious of what's going on. Wintertime, it's the world's your oyster out there,
It's
man.
awesome.
You want to go over there? You can go over there.
You look at where we went yesterday, and when the snow melts, nobody would ever know we were there.
No, exactly. And in literally in 3 or 4 days, our tracks will be melted out and gone with this heat wave that's coming in probably, and you won't even be able to tell. And wind blows or whatever. And you're doing zero damage to the terrain down below, which is awesome. So Lacey Peak, for those, we've talked about it here on the podcast, awesome, overlooking Fordyce, Upper and Lower Fordyce, and Meadow Lake. And to get up there in the summertime is a little bit of a trek on a steep trail. We turned off prior to that and just went up this hill, and it got a little spicy with wind berms, and that's the thing that people that haven't been in the backcountry in the wintertime on a snowmobile or anything like that, snow bike, whatever you got to get around, berms develop. I mean, some big wind drifts that are super steep.
Anyone
spicy.
from Wyoming would know because they've driven I-80 and they've seen the snow fence.
There
But
you go.
A lot of folks on this pod maybe and from the West Coast, like if you've never seen the way that snow deposits behind a rock or a tree,
Right.
when you're running up a ridge line, it's almost like speed bumps or a wall, right? We're cruising the ridge and then you pass by a tree and all of a sudden you're going straight up for 8 feet or
Yeah.
something. Because you've got this big deposit, this big drift, where the wind is blocked, the snow accumulates.
Right.
Definitely test your articulation.
Yes, yes, yeah, and your pucker factor there. So,
Not to interrupt, but I just wanted time for our sponsor, Taylor.
Oh, that's right. E.H. Taylor.
Little E.H. Taylor.
Small batch.
So yeah, thank you for bringing that. That's a great bottle. It's not an easy to acquire bottle, small batch E.H. Taylor. But yeah, when you showed up with that, I was like, hell yeah, I got a whiskey buddy. We're gonna kill the bottle. We said we'd kill the bottle tonight. Look at
I'm gonna
that.
save some for you.
Oh well, you don't have to.
No,
I got plenty here.
You're hosting. So
Top them
we'll
off.
finish
Top
it
them
off.
Kill it. Here it goes. Glug 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 glug.
I have to give that out to a buddy of mine that turned me on to that,
There you go.
Tom, and he'll appreciate that because I'll have him listen to this podcast.
Right on. There you go. Thanks, Tom, for
Hell yeah, Tom.
showing Cody some nice whiskey. So yeah.
So you do need a microphone.
You
to
do need a
talk into.
microphone to
Turns
talk
out.
on the podcast. It's deteriorating. We're going to give up your mic to one of our other special guests here, but
You probably should.
So Cody, so you're gonna take back some of this knowledge back to your neck of the woods, nape of the way.
This was a really cool experience. I appreciated wheeling with you guys the last couple of days, and the track experience is always a learning experience. No matter what conditions you're in, no matter what the conditions are always changing, as Nick said, because it could be 2 days apart, 1 day apart, and you'll ride completely different terrain. Cool part is background of snowmobiling and stuff. You read that terrain, and but you got to still have the system to do it. So,
But I mean, how cool was that? You were able to rip around on the snowmobiles this morning with Brian and Wes and Steve was on a snow bike.
Yeah,
and you guys were having a freaking ball this
Steve
morning.
crushed
we
it.
had an awesome time this morning waiting, and I didn't realize how much Brian had to wait yesterday because we did not we played a lot this morning, and we got there, and you guys still weren't even there.
Yeah, for a second I thought they
I
already
thought
fixed
somebody
the car
broke
and
down.
left.
Honestly, I thought somebody broke down.
Yeah.
Well, it's
So,
kind of a slow roll. You know.
I
Yeah, anyone
saw
that's been
Brian's
snowwheeling.
video on Instagram of your guys' 4-foot dump a couple days ago.
That
Yeah.
was cool.
And that was a whole new reason I brought my snowmobile, because I like riding deep powder and everything. And it was a little bit of a disappointment on the powder side. You guys can come to Wyoming and we'll
Yeah, we,
Yeah,
only, get,
no,
we only get a
we'll
couple
show
days
you
of
real
that.
powder.
Colorado and Wyoming
But
and stuff, no powder yet.
The IG likes for a Jeep with a snowmobile in the back was pretty legit.
Pretty cool.
Oh, that's
That's
cool.
pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, you definitely turned
I had
some
a lot
heads.
of people almost wreck on the interstate driving
Right.
here, just trying to give me the thumbs up. So that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hell
Did
yeah.
You towed out?
I did right at 1,000 miles.
And what's your tow rig?
'Duramax.
24 Duramax.
Oh, it is Duramax.
Chevy, bow tie.
Okay, that's
Smart
good.
man.
At least it's not Dodge. Okay, so
Nick and I, that's how I think we got to know each other.
Yeah.
A little bit.
yeah.
But
It's
you
a
guys
nice
both
truck.
had shitty trucks.
Whoa, there it is.
Hey, all right, Mr. Suburban over here.
All right. So, so it's the RubiTrack thing, Cody, and so you're going to get the wife some tracks now?
My wife has been driving the Gladiator. Shout out to my wife. She's been pretty awesome about it. She's driving this a lot of the times so I can film, build content, whatever. I'm not a content guy.
Are you a content creator?
I'm not a content creator. But it was pretty cool to give feedback with Nick and Scott of showing what I didn't understand is how they were building these tracks and what I was doing in Wyoming, because the snow conditions are so much different.
You want me to sit?
So it really made things interesting of how their design was, and now I understand it way more than I would have before this event.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool because my background's engineering, the same as Nick's, and I saw that design and would have tweaked it, being an engineer.
Uh-huh.
But now I understand why they designed it the way they did.
Yeah. There you go.
So now we're gonna have a RubiTracks set, Mountain, Wyoming version.
Ooh.
Well, and that's
And I got some takeaways from it.
okay.
You heard it
that
here
I would
first.
do.
and we're going to have that conversation, I think, because I think your Wyoming snow is probably pretty close to the Colorado snow.
Yeah,
I would.
it is very.
That sounds
very
like
close.
a segue.
And I
it really does.
I apologize for selling you California tracks.
You definitely sold me. Well,
Sierra.
can I say that? Comedy tracks on here.
Yeah, we call it California. I don't live here anymore, so I call it California.
I live in Nevada.
Yeah, see,
I live in Nevada too.
We got Nevada.
Sierra Nevada.
We did a lot of Nevada things today.
These are.
We did do Nevada things.
These are not
today.
Wyoming. Well, they are Wyoming tracks, but they're
Got
close.
Western.
So we're learning.
Yeah.
We're learning as we go.
Sure.
Right. So we started out with the 121 and the 136, just like our competition has, and we developed a mountain for this year for the California market and for, well, whatever market else it would accommodate. But now we're finding out that it's. So Cody, tell us. You've run both systems. You've run the 121 inch and then you've run the mountain. So even though the mountain maybe is optimized for California, have you noticed an advantage compared between the two?
Yeah, the mountain track's definitely a big advantage over the 121. Float is a probably float and track speed are a bigger need in Wyoming because of the snow conditions. Flotation is a tough factor to deal with there, obviously,
Yeah, you gotta
because
package
we can't run. We live off track speed,
Right.
truly,
Yeah.
in the snowmobile world where we're at. You can't do that even with a lot of horsepower and a lot of, but attack angle and just some geometrics on the track. I think we could optimize a little bit more, but
So tell us what you think that we could optimize. What would work better in your type of snow?
so I run a lot of completely off terrain. My tracks saw more groomed terrain on this trip than they've seen their entire life.
Right.
And the 121s. All my stuff is 98% off groomed. My attack angle, I would probably lower it just a little bit. And the only reason for that is more surface area on the snow. And
So you might like to run maybe, like just for example, you might like to run a 151 front and back.
correct. Yeah. And I mean, there is a select few tracks that may would run a little wider footprint, which would, flotation is probably even bigger where we're at because of
Powder.
air density
Yeah.
and water density in the snowpack. So
Yeah.
Sweet.
it
baby.
was still a 121 set to a mountain track set was 100% 9-day.
Really?
Where we were at in 4 feet of, I would say the water content in our snow is 20% probably versus what is your guys's?
So yeah, well, snowfall ratio average year long in the Sierra is very close to 12 to 1. 12 to 1 foot, 1 inch of rain and a foot of snow.
But we had some good powder.
I'm not
a
going
few
into
weeks ago
conversion
here.
rates. I'm a percentage guy, but we're probably like a tenth.
Yeah, we can get
Truly.
that cold, dry powder. It's rare,
Yeah,
but we
couple
get
days.
it here.
Sure.
But what you
Our
experience
dry
today
powder
is
is
typical.
Yeah, 98% of the time.
Yeah.
So we're relying on footprint and track speed if you can't get footprint.
And we've been, people have asked us about a wider track before. There's 2 reasons I don't build a wider track currently. The most obvious reason is if you look at the 121, the 136 in the mountain, we're sharing most of our components. In fact, everything on all those 3 systems are built in the exact same fixtures. So our fixtures are set up to, they're variable, but The offsets are the exact same because we're running the same width track. Only difference is the length. Now, when we change the width, now our parts change. So that hasn't entered the chat, let's say.
Got it.
But it's leading on to it because that's a great segue because I'm gonna do a lead design with Scott on a wider track system.
There you go.
Because
Now-
that's what we need. Is just the flotation factor
Sure.
is probably our
Makes sense.
big bet.
You're absolutely, and I get it now. And the part I have to solve on my end is, so there's the one component is the height of the lug. So Kyle kind of experienced this at the beginning of the year. The taller the lug, the more pressure it puts on the high facts, which creates heat and creates issues. And a lot of our tracks were designed, like the 121 and 136 especially, were designed to work relatively well in all types of terrain, not especially well in any one type of terrain. So as we get into these specialized systems like the mountain, we're already running a taller lug, which is putting more demand on the high facts, which is causing that to wear out quicker. It's causing like the issues that we alluded to, like driving out of the track because
Right.
of that taller lug is biting into the Sierra cement that we're talking about.
Yep.
And the track wants to go in one direction and the frame wants to go the other. And, the issue that we discovered with Matt was his hydro assist steering was just too powerful for our system, which we rectified, or we believe we rectified with the brace. But now if we go to a wider track, like Cody's alluding to, like a 20-inch wide, you can't get that with a short lug. You can only get that with, very close to a paddle.
Yeah.
Right. And so the issues that we are potentially going to experience with that paddle, I don't know what they are yet.
Yeah.
Right. But I do know that they're not going to like a groomed trail. And they're definitely not going to like that little bit of asphalt that you're going to go from trail to trail. So
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun because I'm almost a zero groom trail, so I'd like to do some more R&D with Scott on this because I think
What lugs are on your snowmobile? Are those 2.5, 3s? What do you guys?
275
Yeah.
track on that with a
But how tall is a lug? I mean, that's like the two and three quarter. Yeah, you got
275, yeah. 275 track, and
Yeah.
that track has been well developed for that Rocky Mountain snow.
Yeah.
yeah. And you look at Hell Tracks, okay, not to drop competitors' names. They're not really a competitor. We don't build a dual track and we don't build a 20 wide track. So I
Right.
don't consider them a competitor. They're in a segment of their own. But they're specialized.
Sure.
They're built for that powder.
Yeah.
And that dual track obviously is built for that powder. And I'd love to build a dual track for that powder, but our business model is based somewhat on getting to a volume position, not a specialized position.
Sure.
Right? Whereas the dual track tends to be, if you look at the price of what they're selling those things for, I mean, I'd love to be able to charge that much for a product that I sell. But
Yeah.
We're gonna still push Scott for a little bit of
There
that.
you go. All right. All right. This is good. Now this is
Just to test in Wyoming.
yeah.
I just need to find a way to communicate to the customer because it's still a relatively, I don't know what the word is, but like the customer.
I would call it a niche.
It is definitely a niche.
That's my thing with it.
Yeah, it is definitely a niche. Now we got to communicate to the customer that now our tracks are specifically intended for specific niches, and we got to describe that niche to them before they purchase the product and wind up disappointed because it doesn't suit their niche.
Sure.
But we also have to discover what their niche is because, so I started out building tracks for ice fishermen in Saskatchewan. I didn't know Sierra Cement existed.
Right.
I should know. I own RubiTracks. I build tracks, but how am I going to know unless I do things like the RubiTracks Invitational?
Yeah. How great
Right?
is this? I mean,
This was the coolest event I've been to with like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
for Scott to come see what he built and designed and with Nick of how this is going to work is cool. So the only thing I'm pushing now is come out and see what the other side of it is.
What
There
the
you go.
Wyoming snow is like.
yeah.
The Sierra Cement, it opened my eyes, like more than probably you guys understood. Really, truly.
So yeah.
My power steering, I've never even had a problem,
Yeah.
No.
but it's all powder.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So you can steer on. We're gonna switch the mic over to another guy with snow similar to yours. We got Steve Jewett here from Colorado. You can sit
Thanks,
down
Cody.
here, Cody. You guys
yeah,
can.
you guys can share a mic.
Yeah, come on.
I'm not that comfy.
Sit on
in
Steve's
here,
lap.
sunshine.
Welcome.
How you doing, Steve?
Welcome,
well.
Steve.
Thank you.
All the way from beautiful Colorado.
I am.
Gypsum?
Gypsum near Vail.
I'm the Southern Rocky.
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So talk about your rig real quick. You got a cool setup,
Well,
even though it's a
unfortunately,
Toyota.
I showed up and realized I had a taco, which is not very touted here. However, since I was allowed to be third in line up the mountain, I felt pretty justified in
There you go.
saying that my taco performed.
It did very
It performed
well. Did very well.
fantastic.
We joke around on this podcast about Toyota suck. I had to work that in, but the end of the day, it's all good. It's so cool to me seeing different vehicles, different applications, and especially this event in this terrain. And there's some like the Roxor excelled in some areas. Your Taco excelled. Mr. 900-1 over here, Toyota. Avalanche Technical Nick. It's just cool to see the different. There's no perfect vehicle, but yeah, we like to joke around.
And that brings me back to what I wanted to say right before we
Perfect.
got off of Cody. But I guess we can really point the finger at the English language for only having the one word for snow. We should probably go the Inuit route because we talk about it all the time. They have 1,000 words for snow or whatever. That's really the root issue here, is that everyone thinks it's the same and it's not.
No.
And that's I don't know how to answer that question because so many times I get asked how many inches or how many feet of snow will your tracks go through. So we don't want to go through snow. We want to go over snow, but perhaps you do want to go through snow. I don't know what your snow is like, but so it's so hard to answer that question, and I'm still learning myself.
And look how much the snow changed in one day today.
In one day, just when the sun
one day
shines on it.
today, we had several different snow conditions.
And aspects.
And
Like
aspects.
What sits in this sun.
Yeah, and like we were bombing this afternoon, and you were bogging down in the mashed potatoes in the sun. As soon as you got in the shade of trees,
Took off.
like a
The difference that I've seen with that is your base.
yeah.
Coming from the Wyoming side of it, your bases, and these guys would agree with me a lot of what that base looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have no base.
No base.
Really.
Our base is sugar snow.
Yeah.
and
It's bottomless.
And once it's over 3 feet,
You push into your headlights no matter what.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But that's good stuff to ski in, man. I love that shit.
And it's
Blasted.
wonderful for snowmobiling.
Yeah.
Snow biking.
Yeah, so you got a snow bike. You got a Yamaha with the Polaris
Timber sled.
timber sled tracks on the back and track, I should say, single track. Pretty badass. You were ripping around today, having a good time.
Yeah, I enjoyed the heavy snow here.
Yeah.
Really
Hero snow.
opened things up for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, that's cool.
Like, where have you ever seen a gray-haired man on a timber sled?
No, I mean,
Well, I did learn a lot this weekend.
Did you?
yeah.
Well, the first and foremost was I'm the oldest guy here. But I'm the only one running a timber sled
That's right.
It's true.
in the back of my taco,
Yep.
and really enjoyed seeing the different snow conditions. I did stuff in that Tacoma that I never even dreamt I could do. And compared to our Colorado snow out here, it's a joy.
Yeah,
It's challenging in a very different dimension.
that's cool. And you got instant street cred when you got here, showing some photos on your phone of what is that? A sit-down foil? What is that thing?
Sky ski.
Sky ski.
Sky ski.
So these guys, the Brian,
JM
that was,
boys.
yeah, and his brother and them, they go out and Lake Tahoe and got the airfoil and stuff and do some cool shit. But you're doing flips and everything like these guys, but you're on a sit down, freaking foil.
Yeah. Old school.
Yeah,
Old, literally.
Old school fun. It's the only thing I can do cool at 59.
I swear to the fuck,
That's
man,
pretty cool.
if I end up half as fit as you at 59, I'll win. I don't care. I would not
winning.
want to cross your path at a bar at at 2 a.m. drunk. I think you would put me in my place pretty fucking quick.
That's cool stuff, man, and it's living, right? And all these different cool things we get to do. But so with the taco on tracks, I mean, how was your power situation and everything? Because you got a little, V6 in there?
Yeah, power's a challenge for sure. It's a lower gear ratio sport.
Okay.
The taco, I have a stock 22 taco, and it does amazingly well. Steering is a stock steering, so
Okay.
it doesn't want to steer. So it's about seeing where you want to go and jockeying yourself in the right positions. And I've learned a tremendous amount this weekend following these guys or leading some.
Yeah.
But you can do it with a stock vehicle, which was, I wasn't sure whether it was up to it.
Right.
And that was the whole point of, well, I shouldn't say the whole point of tracks, but one of the key advantages of tracks in many applications, not all applications, was that you could take a relatively stock vehicle, put tracks on it, and get the advantages of planetaries and 37-inch tires.
Right.
Right? You get that 6 inches of lift and that 40% reduction, and then you put the tires back on and go to work on Monday, and you're still in a stock vehicle.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one of the key benefits of tracks, but now we're kind of getting outside of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool stuff, man.
Really pushing the limits.
Yeah.
I think so.
For
I mean,
sure.
I've been riding snowmobiles for 27 years. I got into snow bikes because I was getting older. Snow bikes were a much easier but still thrilling way to see the mountains.
Yes.
And now I find myself, I'd really like to be comfortable and warm on the way to ride my snow bike. And we travel great distances, sometimes over mud, sometimes on snow, sometimes on deep snow, and never on groomed trails.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
to be here on groomed trails was really amazing.
Yeah, that's you guys talked about that. Both you and Cody alluded to that. So there is a groomer that comes through and grooms the main roads out here, a couple main roads. I don't know how many miles total, but it's quite a few. And
I think we're about 8 miles to where we're at right here.
Well, yeah, you're definitely pushing the 9 mile mark from the parking lot where everybody unloads and starts to drive over the snow vehicles, right? Get tracked vehicles only in the winter. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. And then this terrain, like say, I recreate here in the summer and winter, and it's so freaking cool because there is a little bit of everything out here, from mild to extreme wild. Yeah, it's cool.
So tell us about your experience. You rode around with some of us, and you've never been a snow wheeler before.
Oh, I've been.
Well, I shouldn't say a snow wheeler, but a track snow wheeler.
No, I've never done the track thing, and that was it because I've ridden with Nick. Last year we did a snow run.
Yeah, out
with Harry
Wagner.
Harry Situations there, and I go, well, this is the first time when I got in with him. A few days ago, I'm like, this is the first time with tracks because we were on tires because there wasn't a whole lot of snow.
Yeah, his run last year was in January. We hadn't had much of a winter. This year he did it in March. He took our lead, I think, and realized that if they measure snow depth in the Sierra April 1st, it's typically the deepest. And
right.
If you want to have a snow run, that's a good time to do it. So, So we went out last year on tires, same rig. Got to do this and spend 3 days together on tracks.
Yeah, and I just gotten over the Toyota thing and then had to get back into it. So, but anyways,
I'll call your doctor.
But the track thing was super cool to me because, no, you're doing a great job. It's your place. You do whatever you want. I do need some more whiskey soon, though. Maybe another ice cube. I don't know. I know. That's all right. That's all right.
As they say,
good.
Brian's got a face for radio.
Yeah.
I'm a face. So does your mother.
Whoa, hey, oh. Wow. We'll edit that out. No. But anyways, being able to be in the rig and with tracks, and I was like, okay, this is freaking badass. So then, my gears are turning because I tried to get a set of tracks 2 different times for my Can-Am.
Sure.
I thought that'd be a cool way to go. I will make that happen eventually. Because,
Will they be RubiTracks?
if we need to talk. You heard it here. RubiTracks, sponsor of Wheeling Wine and Whiskey. It's a different. I love doing all this off-road stuff, and it's just another cool aspect of off-roading. And it really opened my eyes seeing all these different vehicles, and that's Kyle in the Winnebago, freaking Overland AF. Doing those off camber and stuff, and I was like, holy hell, that's impressive, and we pushed some limits, and we derailed some tracks, and we inverted some tracks, and that's how you learn, and that's how you product test. I mean, for you, this is a great thing.
Well, we're playing Tetris with triangles out there, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. And these, we talk about these wind drifts and stuff and some extreme angles, and then what Matt got all fucked off on last night in that hole. I mean, geez. So, I'll definitely have some sort of track deal. I got a snowmobile. I get that world, and then seeing this. But what I really, really want to see, and Nick, mentioned that we might have Gold Digger out here on tracks, and that would have been fucking awesome. So
that's going to happen. We don't know when, but it's going to happen.
4-steer buggy. Most people that listen to this podcast are familiar with the Bomber Gold Digger chassis, my dream vehicle that Dustin, Randy's cousin bought. But
the adapters are in my garage.
Yeah, see, and it was.
And I didn't make them for nothing.
Yeah, it's teed up. So I'm looking forward to seeing that aspect of it, because that would be cool.
I want to see a 2-buggy. I want to see, that's very close to a 2-buggy. Obviously, it is by definition a 2-buggy. I want to see the moon buggy, the 1-seater. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can look at all 4 tracks. I want to see that, but I'll settle for Gold Digger for now.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, 4-steer with horsepower, full hydro steering. So we got the horsepower and we got the full hydro steering. Let that motherfucker eat. It's going to be impressive. But that's track speed, which may not be good too. I don't know. That's what I want to see.
But he has the option of track speed or not, right?
He can crawl. He can crawl.
Yeah, ultimately it's a gearing reduction. So whatever the conditions are asking for, that car will deliver for sure. And then having 4-wheel steering, like in a lot of the off-camber shit we were in this weekend, Jason and I talked about it a couple times.
Crab walk that stuff.
Yeah, it's impressive what the tracks will do in an off-camber scenario compared to tires already. But when you figure that you could get everything tilted uphill and just chew away and work yourself across something, it's got to be sick.
So for anybody that's obviously listening and doesn't know anything about Gold Digger, how would you describe Gold Digger to?
Gold Digger's a bomber chassis, which most of these folks are familiar
Trail
with.
chassis.
Yeah, so it was built off of the 3-time King of the Hammers winning Ultra 4 car. But it's 4-wheel steering. It's got a DI 5.3 V8 in it, Spider Tracks axles. It's a
race car.
It's a race car chassis with trail car underpinnings.
Yeah.
So it's a badass
super capable rig, and in my opinion, just a great all-around rig. You can go fast, you can go slow, you can do super freaking technical moon buggy shit.
Right.
It's the Swiss Army knife of off-road.
For sure.
Which is coming from, an Ultra 4 driver, Randy Slauson, designing and building this thing. And there's 4 of them out there now.
Yeah, I know there's another one on the table now. So I feel like in the wild.
Well, and then Amco has that one that was built
probably
not by Randy, but
4 to 5 in the wild. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a cool setup. But again, is it the perfect setup? No, there's several different ways to skin a cat in this game, but it's real close to the perfect setup, in my opinion. So I would really love to see what that thing would do on tracks.
We're gonna do it.
Okay, let's do this, Dustin. Let's make this happen. Cool stuff, man. This has been fun. I'm grateful that I got invited to this. Thank you, Nick and Scott, for allowing me to be part of this, even though I don't have RubiTracks, but I will be a customer someday.
We'll send you home with a hoodie.
Okay, all right, good. But yeah, it's cool. Met a ton of great people from all different areas of the world. Here, Saskatchewan, that's crazy. Those guys coming out too. So we got the Canadians, and it's been fun. And then super appreciative of the accommodations here. This is a very cool place out in the middle of a very cool part of the country that I love.
Thank you, Brian.
Shout out to Brian, Eric, Apollo, and Wes that take care and help out around here and stuff. And it is Jackson Meadow Lodge. You can check it out. It is super cool. And it.
How do we watch this weekend? Is there going to be footage released?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the people that were here are Instagrammers or YouTubers. So High Ground by Nightfall, at High Ground by Nightfall, obviously. We've got Off-Road Go-Kart, at Off-Road Go-Kart. What is his YouTube handle? He's got a different YouTube channel.
He's got two.
He's got two channels.
He's rolling with, I think it's...
We can put it in the show notes.
Need to edit that.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
And then we got our own Instagram at RubiTracks, and then we've got Nick's Instagram, Avalanche Technical or Sick Nick.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be plastered all over the internet. Maybe not all of it right away, but by before next Christmas, everybody's going to see what we did here this weekend.
Yeah, and I've posted. Well, there's already been some posts on the Wheel and Wine and Whiskey page and some of these other guys here, but there's a ton of great content and footage out there. We had some influencers out there with some cool drone footage. The drones that were flying, pretty freaking incredible.
Yeah, we had some air-to-air combat. I think.
Yeah, we did. I'm surprised we didn't lose a drone. I did see a drone hit a tree yesterday, but it recovered quickly. That was impressive too. Yeah, there you go. Craig hit a Jeep.
Yeah, hit a Jeep too.
Yeah, so it's cool, but I'm very grateful for these experiences and to put something together like this that you guys have done. Nick and Scott, second annual, third annual coming up here next year, I would assume, and hopefully we get invited back here. We didn't tear up the place too bad, but it's incredible to gather, like Cody said, like-minded individuals to go explore some cool terrain and some different terrain for people, and
It's a joy to be a part of.
Yeah, right. It's fun.
It's so fantastic when, you know what I mean, we have our experiences with different kinds of people and different personality types, but when you can narrow it down to people who are fundamentally similar in their perspectives, and then everybody engage in a similar activity and have a similar experience, exactly, like-minded, right? It's just, it makes it all worthwhile. Everybody's welcome. We hope that more people engage in it in the future and keep coming, and we hope that this continues to grow.
Yeah, 100%.
And I want to say, like, I know we're winding this down here, and none of this would be possible. None of this would have happened without Nick's, phone call.
There you go. How about that?
It's very cool.
He deserves more credit than he gets.
I would totally kill it because Nick, it's kind of a funny story, but when I was going to buy the first set of RubiTracks, when I called Nick, he was like, I really was hoping to sell these to somebody near me to go wheeling. And I was like, well, I will come wheeling with you.
There you go.
I'm not every weekend. We're 14 hours apart, but it's grown a pretty cool relationship.
That's cool.
And it's so cool to see it grow.
Yeah.
When I sell tracks and I sell one set of tracks to a guy who's in a remote part of wherever, and he's the only guy there, I hope to God his friends buy. And it's not for the financial benefit. It's for his benefit.
So he can go out and party with them, yeah.
Yeah, so he has a friend to go with. And okay, so he has a friend to go with. You got 2 people in an area. It's okay. 2 people sometimes can get sick of each other. Once we see a third person there, well, we all know how it goes, right? It's just like, you know,
like Matt talking about his ex-wife last night. Those people did not get along with each other.
You know what I mean? So if you have an ex-wife and a girlfriend, you got a pretty good...
Right.
So if we can get 3 in an area, then the seed has germinated. There's potential. And that's what's happened here. The seed has germinated, and now we're developing a community and maybe a subculture, and hopefully it will continue to grow. That's my hope. I don't want to get rich doing this. I mean, I hope I get rich doing this, but who doesn't hope?
Sure.
But if I can see this grow into something that when I'm, I always joke that these guys make videos and I love it, man. I sit in my underwear in the living room and I watch them on YouTube.
That's TMI right there.
In a beanbag eating Cheetos.
In Canada.
So if I can be 70 years old in an old folks home in a beanbag eating Cheetos in my underwear and watching these guys enjoy my product, I think that would be the way to go out.
Hey, there you go, right there.
That's all I have to say.
That's good.
Probably won't listen to this podcast, but if I can get her to ride that gladiator in a bikini,
There you go.
I think Scott's gonna be all over it.
Hell yeah.
Free set of RubiTracks.
Hell yeah. No, that's what it is. I mean, this off-road community, it's like-minded individuals, and you meet cool people. And what's that old saying? Bad roads bring good people.
Absolutely.
And we are so freaking remote right now. I mean, literally, maybe 2% of the population has ever seen this part of the country.
This time of year, for sure.
In this time of the year, 100%, right? And so it's super cool, and you gotta be an adventurer to want to get out to places like this, and that's the common ground. And then go out and do the stuff that we did the last few days is just fun, and cool product that's bringing this this community you're building. Absolutely.
And thanks for helping us spread the word, Jason.
Absolutely, Jason.
Hey,
you're fantastic this weekend.
Well, thank you.
I'd like to give a shout out to you, Jason, and RubiTracks. It's really cool to see a product get developed and
Be a part of it.
And be a part of it and test it and watch how it works and in different snow conditions and how somebody that's willing to learn off that.
Yeah.
You don't see that
Yeah.
very often. So we appreciate the invite. It was pretty cool.
You're welcome anytime.
And cheers to many more.
Hell yeah. Well said. So we got Instagram handles out. So we know Avalanche Technical and Sick Nick, if you want to follow Nick there. You got one, Cody?
Pivot Cody.
Okay.
I got annihilated on Instagram a while back, so we're starting over.
Oh,
PIVIK?
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
Steve, do you know what Instagram is?
No.
Hell yeah.
You might have been set up for that.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
That's
I'm
all
used to it.
It's all right, man. But you're living your best life. I fucking love it.
I'm here. I'm with you.
Hey, I hope I'm still doing this stuff. Just
At
keep
75?
keep living.
Hey,
keep living.
hey.
Every December.
So does porn.
Oh, jeez. And then, of course, RubiTracks. You
At
can follow.
RubiTracks on Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook.
And on Facebook. All right. Yeah, cool. And then we'll list out the other guys that couldn't join us this evening, had to head back to farm their fields and do what they had to do. And Kyle had to edit like 9,000 hours of drone video and stuff. So
He does a fantastic job of driving back to Vancouver and editing at the same time.
I don't know how he does it
Driving
yet.
a drone backwards.
He already dropped an IG video today, right?
Yeah,
You were showing.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So, cool stuff. Thank you guys so much. This has been fun and in a freaking awesome home here. So, thanks, Brian, for keeping us in check.
Cheers.
And cheers, everybody,
Cheers.
man. Yeah, something different, huh? All right, and with that, Nick.
We're out.
There you go.